What's going on YouTube? This is Sean. I am back again, and in this video we are going to be working on Iron Man again. But in this video we're going to be focusing on the arms and the legs. And if you're wondering why the one shoe is painted red, is I'm trying out a new paint scheme. All black and one red shoe. It's a thing, I think. No, actually I'm just testing out a product that I got from TNT Cosplay Supply, which is also where I get all my EVA foam for this particular build. And right now I am going to be working on the biceps. And I'm going to start off by taking the center bicep piece right there. And notice that the joining edges all have inward angle cuts. That way when I join them together, they'll have this bevel look. And I'm going to go in and eventually burn in those inner detail lines. Then I'm going to join them at the back, and it should look something like this. Simple enough, right? Well, I try to make all my patterns cosplay friendly or easy. And then I'm gonna go back and put this back piece right on there just like that. And I noticed that the that part right there that I joined together wasn't even, and I probably messed up in the templates, but easy enough. Just go back in there and trim that piece off. Now, depending on your body size and length and stuff like that, this won't be the final shape. I mean, you're probably gonna end up having to trim the lower bicep area, and you might have to cut the inside so you can add more material if your arm is a lot bigger. But yeah, let's move along to the shoulder pauldron. I'm gonna start off by joining the center pieces together just like that, and then I'm going to add the lower pieces together. Now, as far as the lower pieces go, there are some inward angle cuts, so that way it'll bevel in when you glue it all together. And once you get all the outer seams nice and flush together, you're gonna flip it around and make sure everything is closed and contact and good to go. Now it's time to add the top piece of the shoulder piece, which is going to be this one. And yeah, just plain and simple. Now, I forgot to mention that the shoulder pauldron, I actually use 8mm EVA foam, and the bicep I use 6mm EVA foam. And again, you don't really need to stick with my suggested foam thickness. I just think the shoulder looks better when it's thicker. And here are the pieces for the forearm. It just attaches together just like that, and then once you get to the last piece, you're just going to connect the two remaining edges together. And I'm using 6mm EVA foam on the forearms as well. And since there's really no angle cuts on this particular piece, you want to make sure that when you glue the remaining edges together, you're not like accidentally gluing two left arms or two right arms. So yeah, you want to make sure you have your outside facing out the right way. That way you'll have both pieces instead of two same pieces. Almost messed up, and I had to get the other arm out so I can see which one was which. So yeah, so basically the forearm is looking like that. Now we are going to assemble the elbow piece, which is real simple, and we're just going to glue that onto the I guess the part where the elbow is. And I just roughly marked where I wanted to start, which is basically 2 fingers. Really, depending on the length of your forearm, you could make the elbow piece go a little higher, or if you have shorter arms, then you can actually make it go lower and trim the wrist area if you need to. Alright, so now we are going to move along to the hand cover. I think that's what it's called, but it goes over the hand. And this part right here, you will want to adjust accordingly to the length of your arms and hands. So now that the arms are completed, I'm going to attach the shoulder piece to the bicep piece, and I basically just mocked it up to my mannequin, which looked really good, and glued it on. Now I only glued it on to in 2 separate spots. I really didn't go crazy with the glue, just in case I may need to make adjustments later on down the road. And then also did the same thing with the hand cover. I just applied a little bit of glue there and glued it on just like that. And you want to make sure you have that on the right side too, because I almost messed up on this part too. So yeah, so far so groovy, and this is what the arm is looking like. Now let's move along to the leg. This is all the pieces you need for the thigh. I'm going to start off by attaching the upper inner thigh piece just like this, and I'm going to carefully just work my way around those edges. And just FYI, contact cement actually works better when you have it on both surfaces. So yeah, let's try this again. I'm using 6mm EVA foam for most of the thigh area, but as for the upper inner thigh part, I'm using 4mm EVA foam, and this is so that way it flex a little bit easier, especially when it's like right there in your what do you call that, the crutch line area. There's also some inner patterns on the upper thigh area that I forgot to transfer over from the patterns, but you'll see here later on in the video where I go through and I take a wood burner and burn in some more details. Now that I got all the pieces together, it's time to join them all together, and it's gonna go together just like that, which is basically pretty simple. And once you get it all together, your thigh piece should look like this. Now it's time to take some of those inner patterns and transfer those over. Now this probably would have been a lot easier when I had done it when all the pieces were still flat, but oh well. But that's pretty much it for the thigh piece. I wanted to make this piece lighter because it's going to be attached with a Velcro underneath on the inner thigh piece, which I'll cover later. Here are the pieces for the shin guard or the boot cover. Actually, I called it shin in the template, so yeah. I'm going to start off by closing in those little gaps on each side, which is the inner and the outer piece, and then I'm going to assemble both of the outer pieces first by attaching the bottom. Now these patterns will look a little bit different from the final product, but I did go back and make some modifications to make things a lot easier, because that's kind of how I like to do things. Yeah, I'll show you later on in the video where I did make those changes, so that way you know what I'm talking about. And now that I got both the outer inner pieces glued together, it's time to attach them to the center piece just like that. Now both the edges are cut in an inward angle, that way it'll bevel just like that. You want to make sure you get everything nice and smooth. Since it's really curvy, you can't really use the surface of the table to make sure your seam lines are nice and smooth. But yeah, just take it easy. What I like to do is I'll connect one edge or one corner and then connect the other corner so that it doesn't flop around, and then slowly go in and attach the center areas just like that. Now I do provide some hash marks in the templates, but I don't really use them since I'm pretty confident that the patterns will join together nicely. But I do mark each point to point because that's important, because sometimes I confuse myself since there are so many pieces involved. Now I'm gonna attach the upper part of the shin guard, and I did use 8mm foam for the majority of the boot. And this part right here was 6mm, so I can get a nice staggering effect right here. Notice I've already got the back piece already glued onto the boot, but that's all coming back off because I did go back and make some changes to the back of the boot because I felt that wasn't cool enough or simple enough. And this part right here is actually the knee pad or knee part. And then we're going to attach that underneath the 6mm foam piece just like that, and this will also give it a staggering look. And the knee part is also 6mm EVA foam. And now we are going to attach the back piece. Originally it was 2 pieces, and the part where your calves are was pretty narrow, so it made it a little more difficult to put it on and off. So I made the opening a little bit bigger to accommodate for larger feet and stuff. This is actually a pretty long seam line, so you want to take your time and make sure you get your seam line nice and smooth. And if you mess up on certain areas, you can always use contact cement thinner to undo the glue and fix that little spot. But yeah, so far it should look something like this. And yeah, it's a lot simpler, and I'm so digging it, and I hope you're digging it too. Now I'm gonna cover the shoe and the glove in the next video, and this is how it should look like when it's all put together. I've already sprayed a few coats of Plasti Dip on there, and I'm also testing out some paint, if you're wondering why one shoe is painted red. But yeah, and what's cool is you can stack them up together and they'll stand on their own with no legs inside. Well, that pretty much concludes the leg portion of the video or the build process. I'll cover the shoes and glove in the next video. And if this is what you're into, I mean, if you're really into this kind of stuff, then check the links in the description down below. It's going to take you to the templates. And yeah, I guess that's it for this video. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button if you haven't already subscribed, like and comment, and yeah, follow me on all my social network. I will see you guys in the next video.